Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? I go by RB, and this is Philly Take with RB. Like always, if you're enjoying the content of the channel, be sure to smash the like button for me. Hit the subscribe if you're new, and ding that notification bell so you're instantly notified whenever I upload or go live. Today, we are back previewing the Week 6 matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens. The Eagles come off a tough loss to the Steelers where they dropped to 1-3-1 and still somehow, some way are just a half game out of first place in the NFC East. They also saw their rivals, the Cowboys, win, but lose their franchise quarterback for probably the rest of the season. So there is opportunity here. On the other hand, the Baltimore Ravens came off a big win against the Cincinnati Bengals where they just banged up Joe Burrow. They won 27-3, and now they are sitting at 4-1, and they are just a tough team to beat. There's no other way to put it. The Eagles need to come in and win a game here, but it's going to be a tough time. It's going to be very, very difficult to do so, just given how good the Baltimore Ravens are, how structured, and just how disciplined they are as a team. Now, Doug Peterson this past week in his press conference hinted at the fact of some guys returning to injury, like an Alshon Jeffrey, a Deshaun Jackson, and a lot of people are mad because they think that it's going to end up taking some touches away from Travis Fulgham. Here's what I'll tell you. Ride the hot hand. There is no way in hell that Doug Peterson should put D-Jax or Alshon on the field over Travis Fulgham. The kid is coming off a 10-catch, 152 yards game, and he's just on fire right now. He looks like he's the next big thing. And besides the one game that the Baltimore Ravens actually did lose this season to the Kansas City Chiefs and essentially the best player in the world in Patrick Mahomes, where they gave up 34 points, did not look together at all, just had a bad game. The Baltimore Ravens, in the 4 games that they have won, have given up a maximum of 17 points, which terrifies me because just as good as their offense is, their defense is top-notch and is going to be on point this Sunday. But let's go ahead and check out the keys to the game. So my first key to this game is the obvious one and should be at the top of everyone's list, and that is to contain Lamar Jackson. I mean, there's no other way to put it. This guy is special. The reigning MVP, not only last year did we see his feet on display, but this guy can throw the ball as well, even though he hasn't been throwing it as well lately. Lamar Jackson is a dual threat quarterback. He's going to be able to do everything. He's going to keep your defense off balance, and it's almost a guessing game because you just never know what this guy is going to pull out of the bag of tricks. Lamar Jackson is going to try to get our linebackers in ways that they are susceptible to getting beat. I mean, we already know our linebackers stink. Nathan Gary's getting a lot of heat. TJ Edwards is down. We don't really have anybody else that is going to be able to step up right now. And with John Harbaugh, the way he's going to, disguise the plays on offense, the way they are going to utilize their misdirection and have the Eagles turn in this way and that way, we already know from seeing that our team is not that good against mobile quarterbacks. I mean, mobile quarterbacks usually tear us apart because we undervalue the linebacker position and we don't have sufficient play there. And in my opinion, we're going to need to keep a spy on Lamar Jackson this entire game, but honestly, I don't know if we can afford to do so, just given the fact that we've been getting beat in coverage, and we need all the help that we can get. So Jim Schwartz is going to have to put together a brilliant game plan. We saw what he did last week, getting torched, and it just was not good enough. Lamar Jackson wasn't even throwing the ball well last week, and they still put up 27 points against the Bengals. Lamar Jackson only threw for 180 passing yards, but this offense is able to create in a lot of different ways. They have 2-3 running backs that are going to be able to run it down your throat. They're averaging 160 rushing yards a game and almost 6 yards a carry. They're going to be tough. Our D-line is going to have to be on their best performance, and overall, we're going to have to get to Lamar Jackson, and when he scrambles out, well, we're going to have to keep him behind the line of scrimmage. I don't know if we're going to be able to do so because he is very tough in that aspect. We also know that Lamar Jackson is going to try to incorporate his tight end right away. That's his top target in Mark Andrews, an upcoming tight end. who's just honestly a stud already at this point. And we know he has his deep threats in Hollywood Brown and Willie Snead, but overall, Lamar Jackson is going to keep it simple. And if the Eagles try to take away the run, well, he's going to try to get it out of his hands quickly. The problem is, I don't know how our corners are going to be able to compete against this guy, given the fact that Darius Slay is banged up right now, given the fact that Avonte Maddox, even though he practiced for the first time in weeks, I don't know if he's going to be ready to go on Sunday. So we're going to have a tough time ahead of us, honestly. My second key to this game revolves around the Eagles offense, and that is protecting Carson Wentz while also opening up the run game. Man, we have already talked about it for weeks now. Doug Peterson gets too pass happy, is reverting to throwing, especially when we get behind, and it's not working out. Miles Sanders has seen his carries drop from 20 to 18 to 13 to 11, and he's not being utilized right. Last week, he broke off a 74-yard touchdown and ran 10 times for 6 yards the rest of the game. The Eagles ran the ball, I don't even know how many times in the second half, but it was not a lot, and we accounted for 9 rushing yards in the second half. That can't happen against this team, and overall, Carson Wentz is going to need protection as well as Miles Sanders. This offensive line is completely banged up right now, but they're going to have to protect because the Ravens are a blitz-heavy team. They're going to throw a lot of different things at Carson Wentz and try to confuse him, and overall, they're going to try to leave him on the ground. The Baltimore Ravens are coming off a 7-sack performance against the likes of a Joe Burrow, and they're hungry, and they want more, and they know that Carson Wentz right now is turnover prone. I mean, this guy is throwing turnover after turnover. They're going to try to bring the pressure right away and force him into early turnovers. The Eagles allowed 5 more sacks last week. They're dead, or I think second to last in the NFL when it comes to giving up sacks. Now, I know part of that is Carson Wentz holding onto the ball, but this week you're going to have to get it out of your hands quickly, because if Carson Wentz gets hit and he loses the ball, it's just going to turn into a sloppy overall game, and we really don't want that. The Ravens are going to try to come at him right away. We got to continue to run the ball, and we got to keep that up and balance our offense. The Ravens are only holding teams to 4 yards a carry this year, and that makes me nervous that Doug Peterson, once he sees that it doesn't work in the first quarter or early on in the game, he might not even go back to it all. He might diverge from the run completely, and that will kill us. Those two are really the main keys of this game, in my opinion. The last thing I would say overall is to just try to stay, close. Try to stay toe-to-toe with the Baltimore Ravens, because if they expand this thing, if they blow it wide open in the first half, there's no coming back for the Philadelphia Eagles. We saw us, trim a lead last week, but I don't think the Baltimore Ravens are similar in that aspect. That defense is going to keep the pressure up, and I just think they're tough. They're going to be very hard unless we stay toe-to-toe with them the entire game. The best thing we can do is keep it in our hands. Do not give it to Lamar Jackson. Don't give him too many drives to try to go out and make plays and score touchdowns, because I think the Eagles need to just run the ball and just try to win it like that, just try to keep the ball as long as we can. If we could win the time of possession, that would be huge. Overall, we have not seen a 4-quarter game yet where the Eagles have played solid. We have not seen them put it all together. This would be a great week to do it. It would be a great chance to try to win, but again, the Ravens are a tough team to try to get that going against. And for my standout Eagles, number one, I got to go with Travis Fulgham. I expect this kid to continue and keep it up with the progress he is going forward with. I mean, from 2 weeks ago, his first NFL catch, first NFL action really to catching a game-winning touchdown pass, to last week completely breaking out, 10 catches, 152 yards, and a touchdown. You can just tell when certain guys have that it factor, and he has it. Carson trusts him. He's going to be our number one going forward here in the future, and I expect him to keep it up and have a huge game. I mean, you can tell he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and I'm really excited for him. And my second Eagles standout this game is a combination of the Eagles defensive line. I'm just going to say the Eagles D-line. They will be responsible for stopping this, excessive run game of the Baltimore Ravens that is very dangerous, and the dangerous weapon himself in Lamar Jackson. They're going to have to get to him. Jim Schwartz is going to have to send pressure, but at the same time, Lamar is going to be able to scramble out, so I hope they are able to contain him the best as possible. The Eagles D-line has to have pretty much their best game of the entire season and play well above their standards. Even though they're already solid, they got to play very, very good to try to beat this team. As for my breakout Eagle this week, I'm going to go with a long stretch here, and because, it's a breakout Eagle, a guy we don't really expect to, or who has kind of been slept on, we haven't expected much from him, I'm going to say Sean Bradley. I'm going to say with TJ Edwards out, with Nathan Gary getting torched, I'm hoping, Doug said last week that our linebackers can only play when they are ready. Well, you know what? It's time. Desperate times and call for desperate measures, all right? Put Sean Bradley in, even if it's Davion Taylor. These guys were drafted this year. They have to contribute. We are not getting enough help from our draft picks. You know what? Sean Bradley had a couple nice tackles last week. I think he was in 4 or 5 plays. He had a couple nice goal line stops. Put Sean Bradley in and let him go to work. It can't hurt, right? Time is running out. It's running out. We need desperate linebacker play right now, and I think it's going to be Sean Bradley. I'd say they put him in, and he goes out and has a nice game for himself. For my hot take this week, I'm going to say, and this is a hot take for a reason, but I'm going to say Zach Ertz comes out and gets 80-plus receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. He has to break out some game. I made a video yesterday saying that he is probably injured and is not disclosing it because he wants to try to continue to play for that contract. But Zach Ertz, man, you have been pitiful. You need to step up and have a huge game, and Carson Wentz is going to have to get the ball out of his hands quickly. So why not? I think Zach Ertz, this is probably the game that he steps up, if any, and makes a name for himself and shows that he can still play at a high level. We need him desperately.
Perfect.
And now it's time for our score prediction of this game. Now, we know that the Philadelphia Eagles need a win. I wanted them to win one out of, either last week or this week. And they lost last week, and this is a tougher team than the Steelers by far. I think the Eagles just need a big win against a big team like this. And on a game like this where everyone will pick against the Eagles is usually when they come out and show their best and go out and get a win. But I'm not going to be stupid at this point. You know what? The Philadelphia Eagles do not have enough to win this game. They don't have enough talent. They don't have enough momentum. We'll see some bright spots in this game, but overall, I think on both sides of the ball, the Ravens are just significantly healthier and just better at this point. So I would be stupid to go ahead and pick against them in this game. This will be one of our toughest games of the year, and I think the Ravens are going to have their way with us. I'm going to pick the Ravens 31-17 to win this game. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will drop to 1-4-1. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect.